5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live with Neve. This is Live with Neve. Iconic musicians, comedy, and God knows what else. Hold on!
Well, that was a train wreck. Look at that. That was the ghost of someone passed. That just popped in. It popped out. God, my hair is looking insane this morning. Hello, hello, America. So how's everybody doing? Neve here. I've had a really wacky, crazy weekend. And now here we are on Tuesday. Thank you to everybody who wrote such nice things. I had to go into the hospital for just gastric distress. Thought I was having a heart attack. Turned out to be the gallbladder, which I'm still having the doctors investigate. But all is well. And hell, if that thing doesn't work, let's get it out of here. That's the way I look at it. Other things, I had my friend Doug DeYoung from Australia at my home over the weekend. And it was good and bad because it was insane. I'm pretty sure that him waking up and seeing my house full of a couple of cops, a couple of ambulance people, firemen or two, and then me getting carried out. I did walk up the stairs into my ambulance, which was about as much as I felt like doing. It hurt like hell. If anybody's had a gallbladder before, not something I've ever had any problems with. And hey, Rick, good morning. Not something I've ever really had any issue with. I always eat what I like, but I eat a very good quality diet compared to what I think a lot of folks put in themselves. I don't eat fast food. I don't eat produced food. We make our own sauces and stuff like that. So I try to eat pretty clean, but shit happens, and the doctor said it may not be anything to do with my diet. It might just be that I'm an old guy. So I'm a semi-old guy. I'm not as old as Rick is or Susan. Good morning, Susan. How are you, hon? How are you and Pete doing out there in Radio Land on this fine, fine day? I mean, I don't know where you live, but if you're living there, I hope you have weather as good as we do. Our weather is just killer right now. Getting back to it, though, Doug DeYoung came, and we got to go to a couple of recording studios, and something that was really fun that we did. This was totally just whimsical. We were out walking the boardwalk, and I was showing him where Bruce Springsteen had his palm read. So I said, let's go get a reading. And Doug, if you're listening, please, I love you, man. Doug will laugh about this. I went up and they asked him what it was to do a reading. I offered to get him one. In the old days, I would have offered to go to the oyster bar and drink a bunch of whiskey. And instead, I said, let's go get our palm read. I've never had this done in my life. I swear to you, this is true. I've had people offer, and I'm just like, get out of here. I don't believe in this crap. And I still don't. But I do think she had a great hustle. I have to tell you, this lady gets us in there. She does him first, and I was going to pay for him. So when I went in, I went to pay for both of us. And she said, well, no, we'll take care of you now. And then he's coming back. I'm like, okay. I don't know. What kind of place are you running here? At any rate, I went in and she told me a bunch of things. She looked at my hand. She said, I don't know which one is the lifeline. I could give a crap, to be honest. But if any of you guys are into that kind of thing, you can kind of look at my big monkey hands. And I don't know. She said I have good lifeline, which I'm glad to hear. She said I have a wise ass line. No, she didn't. She basically told me nothing, that anybody who could just take a look at me and basically make some fundamental guesses about my appearance and they probably wouldn't guess any of my, you can tell a lot at first glance of someone, your first impression you make. It's kind of funny, but looks and dress and apparel matter. You kind of identify yourself as your tribe, so to speak. But at any rate, yeah, I do have to stay away from spicy food, which sucks because I love it. The center line going from top to bottom. All right, we like the center line. I'm not going to say anymore. I could get in real trouble with this line of conversation. So a couple of things went on over the weekend aside from me. Let me get back to it. After I had my reading, she had Doug back in there. And so he got the extra bonus. And Doug's a funny man. He goes, "Hey, you already told me that part. What else have you got?" So it was funny, and I have to say it was kind of a good scheme, you know? Oh, the lifeline is at the center now. Okay, I see. Well, hell, mine's not very long. You got me scared, Susan. For Christ's sakes, you had to tell me that, the center one. Shit, man. I lived longer than Jim Morrison already by 3 times. I ought to be, ooh, look at that. I mean, really, my center line is not too long. Center one's like short as shit. I'm not going to worry about it. Most of my family lives to be 100 years old. The fact that I'm alive and kicking after some of the fun I've had in my life is remarkable. But here I am. I'm still, I'm alive. Life is good. Things could be really bad. It is a gorgeous day here, like I mentioned earlier. You know, I really miss doing the show on Friday. I miss doing it whenever I do. I had a great drummer coming on, and I had some great guests, and they will be rescheduled. I'll be honest, after this whole weekend, I spent the past 3 days just resting and chilling. I was so tired and wrung out. Doug, while he was here, we had a good time. He also got to go into the city. He went to a couple of jazz clubs. He went to Birdland, and I'm pretty sure Mo's ghost was chasing him around the basement. Mo Levy, for those of you who are not part of the Illuminati. I had a reading done in Montreal. And tell me, Susan, what did they tell us all about the reading? Do you want to come on and tell us, or you can just tell it by typing it in? Thank you, Susan. You're a sweetheart. And my best to Pete today. Susan's cat, Pete. I'm going to have to get a picture of him to load onto the show. He's kind of like, he's the yin to the yang of my cat, Pants. They both look like they're similar families, I have to make sure they're, of the right class of people. If we're going to have a family gathering. No, I'm kidding. Susan, you know me. I love your cat. He's cute as hell, and I love my cat, and I love anybody else who's got a damn cat out there. I say a damn cat because if you have a cat, they can be a pain in the ass. I'm trying to get this hair off me. Stuff's shedding. So I'm still undecided. My hair's growing. It's like way longer than I thought it would get. I'm trying to determine whether to go get it cut. It's awful hot, but we'll see. My girlfriend is telling me to keep it, so I guess that's the vote I'll have to go with right now. All right. I told you were going to have a long, happy life, a long lifeline, and that's great. And look at that. It shows Susan's had a great thing going on, happily married, good kitty. I mean, how do life is good. You just got to let it be good. So I don't really have any commercials or anything I'm going to run today. I just really came on to say hello because I miss talking to you folks. And, the tales of my demise are widely exaggerated once again. I'm still here, still breathing. And I really have no complaints. It's the kind of day right now. Let me see something. I'm doing a little test. See if this is going to work right with it not plugged in. Yep, it does. Good. I want to tell you guys something. If anybody out there is an Apple nerd, you really like Apple products. I do too. I think they're great. This is an unpaid testimonial. That said, I think that their accessories are crazy expensive for what you get. For example, if you want to get a keyboard that has a typewriting, with numeric key on it, like this thing, you will end up paying a lot. Like, I think it's like $140, $150, which, I don't care how much money you've got. Why spend it on crap that's identical in technical quality? I purchased this keyboard from an unknown manufacturer for literally $30. $30 on Amazon. Matches the iPad color. Same price. And the miniature keyboard, which I have a couple of them around here, I've been using them for years. All they show is just the keyboard. You don't get a pad. And because if you use Mac products, you like to use the track monitor. If you're going to buy one of these, this is another thing. It's like 120, 140 bucks. It's ridiculous for what it does. Just go online and buy one used. They have trackball upgraded one. I just bought one of the last generation of it. It cost me 20 bucks, something like that. So I'm just saying, this is Neil's like output in buns. Here we go. Hey, Dan, good morning. How are you, man? I'm getting hair suggestions here from the audience. Dan, how you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. And so what else have we got here? Panjira. Oh, is this for living a long life? This Fuji apple salad dressing? It sounds pretty good, actually. I am becoming more of I think I'm got kind of a paleo diet going on. I eat red meat. I eat lots of vegetables, raw and fresh. Don't eat much fried food. I very rarely will have something fried, including French fries and all that shit. I'll have to try it out. Panera. I can go in there if I have to get some Birkenstocks. Now that I've got long hair, I can wander in there and look. I'm sorry, I look like every other doofus here in New Jersey wandering around the shore with shorts on. Men were not really made to wear shorts. It's just not, it's like if I had a band in Florida and a lot of people wear shorts, it kind of drove me nuts. I'm like, you're here to be an entertainer and you look like shit. Let's come out here in your cargo shorts and got their flashlight on their belt. Oh, I'm in the band. I'm sorry, I'm making fun of some of my friends, but oh man, I'm glad you stopped by. Dan, you're eating lunch. I'm trying to guess. Where are you? It's a little early here on the East Coast. Dan's a new visitor, I think. I don't recognize your name, man, but glad you're here. Tell us where you're at, Dan. We'll see if you're in the radar. I'm assuming maybe you're in Europe because it's lunch over there, past lunch. You can't eat raw vegetables, only cooked. Oh, shit, that's too bad. See, I'm getting health advice right now live. That's great. I need it. In other news that's going on, I see here where a robot dog with an RPG on its back has just been demoed at the Russian Arms Fair. So I'm going to get a picture of this so you guys can see it. This is one crazy looking son of a bitch. See that thing? He is. Oh, okay. You're the Muzak guy. I remember you. Hey, Dan, I'm so glad that you're back. Let's chat sometime about Muzak, Dan. I'm a font of useless information about the company. I had a very successful career. Oh, Lord, I'm bleeding. No, nothing to worry about. I don't know what I did. I bumped into something, apparently. Or my cat clawed me and I banged into something. At any rate, yeah, he commented one of your lives a while back. Now I know Dan. He's a friend of Chad Quist. A lot of you guys have seen the show for a while. He's an excellent guitar player I had on a year or so ago. In fact, I think it's about time to bring Chad back on. This show started during COVID, so a lot of the first discussions I had were not only was the show shit, it was, I didn't know what I was doing at all, and I still probably don't, but that's okay. I'm still here, and Dan's still here. But yeah, Dan, Muzak, when I worked for them, is a fascinating company, and I was very proud to be part of a team that resurrected it in the 90s. And I was proud to, I can just tell you, I was proud to work for them. We turned the company around that had been in bankruptcy and brought it back to success until it was eaten by corporate raiders eventually. But we did bring it back to profitability. And my boss, Dino DeRose, was just a great guy and a mentor. And I learned almost everything I know about sales. He is proof that if you have a good system, if you're smart, you learn to follow it, because he taught me well, and I really enjoyed working for it. Yeah, there's a great book about Muzak, Dan. I'm not sure if you've read it. It's about General Squire and his quest to start the company. For those of you who don't know it, I'm just going to talk about Muzak for a few minutes because you're here. I kind of have a couple of you hanging out. Muzak was started in New York. Actually, it was started out in Long Island. The first Muzak broadcast was 4 lines that was run from New York City, where Times Square was there then. We had a studio there. and it was run out to Long Island. I'm not sure which town it was sent to, but if you think about what I'm going to say, this isn't pointed out in the book, but it's so obvious. The first 4 feeds, the only difference between iTunes and Muzak when it first came out, number one, it was for homeowners, purely. And it had 4 choices: classical, jazz, R&B, I don't know, and the J-Lo channel, something like that. Well, yes, Susan. Yeah, but you don't have to have a paid subscription. You can still use your iTunes. It's just you have to use an older version. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Something that I'm not really appreciative of. I'll tell you what, Susan, for a non-Apple music service, I subscribe to it because I just like to check out the different services and see what their strengths are, even as far as putting my streamcast up. There's other ways. Google Music is good. Yahoo Music is excellent. So if you're looking for an alternative to iTunes, I use both of them. I still use iTunes because my life is kind of Apple connected. I've got all this ecosystem of crap that usually works pretty good, but takes a bit of time. And I'm not going to give you a big commercial. Lots of people love Apple. Lots of people hate them. Lots of people who have them, like me, have a mixed relationship with it. It's sort of like being married. It's not always perfect, but it's usually, where you want it to be. It's like this. I'll give you another example. Drum pedals, bass drum pedals. Every drummer loves their bass drum pedal. I don't care what brand they have. They love it. It's the best one in the world. You take some drummers off their pedal and they have to use some other guy at a gig and they lose their mind. I'm like, you need to find other things to lose your mind about, because pedal's a pedal. Yes, there are some very nice. Yes, I have my preferred pedal. Why? Because it's a DW pedal. And when I bought it, it was the top of the line. Great product. And it still is. And I have a double DW and it gets the job done. And I've had it since 2008, 2009. I bought it about a year or two before I moved back to New York. And it just works great. So anyway, that's that. Getting back to music, let's see what we have here. Oh, he's got the mood mix. Oh, okay. You'd like the... Well, if you look, Dan, just to give you some more Muzak history, way back, Muzak in the 60s and 50s did time motion studies and tried to sell our product based on the fact that we can enhance productivity amongst factory workers, secretaries, office workers, people of that nature. Most, as far as I know, and I hate to say it, but most of those studies were kind of BS. Small sample sizes, overly optimistic results. And since we were paying for it, I think the results were skewed so that we could sell more. Remember, this was the Don Draper age of music. And that's when I wish I was in the company back then. I'll tell you my dream was when I moved here, and I know it's going to sound stupid, but everybody has a dream once in a while. And when I moved to New York City, I, in my heart, wanted to become the president of Muzak. I knew, and that sounds crazy, but I had a belief, and still do, that the company at the time, we had a unique product. It was one of the best brands in America, one of the oldest brands, and I felt it had been mismanaged over a couple of decades. The period where I was very active with it, we were managed efficiently and well, and we kicked ass. It was afterwards when Mood Media acquired it. There was a lot of things I could say, but I won't. The way Mood Media did things when they took over, all I'm going to say is it's just tough shit. The world is a tough place when somebody else takes over. For those of you who don't know, the way Muzak, the name of the Apple Music alternative I'm using Yahoo Music, and I'm using the Gmail version of music. I have to look. I don't think I have it on this machine. That's iTunes. No, I have to look upstairs, Susan. I have it on my iPad, but I don't want to switch it right now during the show. It's whatever, Google Music. That's what it's called. And really, if you're really looking for anything, I hate to say it, but YouTube has pretty much stolen every piece of music that's on the world, and it's out there, the live things. It is the way it is. Yes, we get all this free crap, but on the other side of the coin, I don't think they're very kind to the artists who they pillage and rape and loot. They're not real good about paying. For example, a $20 CD, if you bought, say you wanted to buy a CD of me sitting here chatting about music, um, if I sold it to you for 20 bucks, I would make like, compared to streaming it, I could stream that record for 2.5, 3 years, and I still wouldn't make 20 bucks if you did it 24/7. So it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of plays to make a buck, and tens of thousands. So, it's one of those things. Getting back to you, Dave, or Dan, excuse me. The environmental stuff that we did in the 80s was, some of it was really, some, I hate to say, it's just cheesy. We had some that was like the environmental sounds. But, they were all ideas that at the time seemed good. And in most cases, they worked for a while. Here's a good trick I'll tell you that we learned at Muzak. We learned that senior citizens, or should I say seasoned citizens like myself, that our hearing sucks. It's just outright, it sucks. We had a generation that listened to Led Zeppelin in headphones and, started dancing with black people. We did all kinds of things our parents were terrified of. And so what? We're still here. They're still here, most of them. But I don't even know what I was going to say. Hey, what do you know? I got to say hello. Look at that. Irish. Yeah, Dan, as far as the whole Muzak thing, the way that it went down, but, Muzak had so many firsts. We were the first to develop CDs to use for broadcast. Muzak had a media player that we were sending music out for commercial purposes. We also had a big Laserdisc thing. Back in the days, in the 40s, we had 40-inch records that were enormous. There was one in the Empire State Building. It's incredible, and I don't know who has it, but it was this huge turntable. You could play these big Muzak albums. They'd play for, I don't know, an hour and a half on each side. Hey, Ben, what's happening, everybody? Hi, Toby. Good morning. So, yeah, Muzak is also one of the only companies in New York that still, we've got access to almost every building in the city of New York. A couple of other things is when I was in the company, we were the largest broadcast medium in the world. We paid more in music royalties than any of the other public, to ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. We spent millions of dollars with our projects to help people with their hearing. Yes, hey, Toby, I did see Doug. I talked to him early, like last night, I guess. So you got him back for a day or two. I know he's been having a great trip and a good time. For everybody watching, Toby Simmons, the girl from Wilshire Boulevard, is tearing it up. Got some great bands over the weekend. Toby and my delirium at home. I saw a bunch of new things you posted and heard some good stuff. So Toby is a godsend to musicians out there trying to get some exposure. And she's always got it going on, more than Stacy's mom even, I have to say. That's really cool. It's funny, my friend Jody Porter from the Fountains of Wayne band, just saw a picture of him this morning. He was hanging with Joni Mitchell. I know that him and Joni are friends, and I think it's great. It's one of those friendships. I want to go, hey, let's go up to Joni's place. I want to bring my cajon and some kunga. She's certainly an amazing songstress. Just writes great stuff. Oh, he got to the jam last night. All right. Tobe, did you get any footage of that? If you have, I haven't seen it yet, but if you have any, send it on or send me a link or something. Oh, you didn't go. Okay. Too bad. Well, I'm glad he got to go anyway. That's great. He got to wake up at my house with the cops carrying me out on a gurney. It wasn't too much fun for him, or me for that matter. My long-suffering girlfriend was just like, oh, God, what now? But I will tell you, people, I did walk my way onto that friggin' ambulance. There was no way I was just going to crawl out of there like a dog. They had to carry me down the stairs, which I was pissed off. I kind of wanted to walk, but I insisted outside. That was the beginning of a lot of fun. I can tell you, all I can tell you, people, health is wealth, man. Take care of yourself. Eat good. Take care of yourself. I do that all the time. And even, as you get older, shit just, as Warren Zevon said, my shit's fucked up. It's a great song, by the way. I'm sure it's not going to make top 10 airway. Speaking of some other stuff that's fucked up, my friend Ace Arlo, who many of you have seen, he's got cancer. He has, oh, it really doesn't matter, but he has a very severe pancreatic cancer. And he's got problems. Say would say his shit's fucked up. And it's sad. And I really like Ace. Ace is a very well-known songwriter. A lot of you wouldn't know his name. That's not his real name. That's his stage name. Ace has been on the show several times, and I liked him. I sought him out. I spend a lot of time looking at bands, songwriters, and I spend a few hours a day looking for new things to put on the show. Well, I found him, and it was 2 Christmases ago, and he was just a funny guy. He had a song about Christmas and weed. He had a big pot plant. He lives out in Oregon. So, yeah, I know exactly, Toby. It's just, it sucks. But I want to bring out, Ace is a very thoughtful and kind, and I consider him a friend, and I'm glad he's my friend. He's a really smart, sensitive, very intuitive and gifted songwriter, and I can't say enough. And also, he's just a freaking nice guy. It's always the nice guys who seem to get hit with shit like this. But at any rate, when I saw Ace, I talked to him over the weekend, right before Doug got here, or I don't know, maybe it was Thursday. But I spoke to him, and for all of you out there, if you want to buy a copy of his record, I'm going to talk about it and have him on the show this week. But I'm going to go ahead, and I just got some new music. So on the show this weekend, we'll be talking about that. I will be talking about Ace, and depending on how he feels, he might be on the show. I would hope if you got a little coin, just buy a record or a CD or something from him. It would really help. The good thing, he's not just thinking about himself, and this is why I think Ace is such a cool guy and why I'm glad he's my friend. We can always learn how to handle things in life by how others do, and watching him handle his preparations for his final passage is impressive. I hate thinking about shit like this. I hated thinking about it in the hospital this weekend. And then, stuff like this comes along, and I feel very blessed to be alive and lucky as shit. Getting on to the good thing. Ace has a catalog of about, I think it's 180 songs, at least 86. I may be mistaken, but I have it written down upstairs. All of these songs have been sold to national talent, have been performed by famous musicians in the country field. Really good shit. I'll get a discography and I can go through all the names, but I'll just tell you this. These are songs, by the top echelon of country, not the belt buckle shit coming up stuff. And of course, it's not the kind of country I like, which is the outlaw country. However, he is an excellent and gifted songwriter. When he writes rock and roll, it's a great tune. Songs are about the lyrics and the content and the melody and how you interplay with that. And he has it all down. He is a jam-up songwriter, and I'm just feel like shit thinking about what's going on with him. But for any band out there, and Toby, take note of this, please. If you cover a song by Ace Arlo, you will be entitled to the producer's royalty and the artist's songwriting royalty. He is going to donate to a cause involving our veterans, which I am spearheading the effort. I'm actually just doing the research. Let's not put too much. I've called and reached out to Gary Sinise and his charity and foundation. And, I'm going to try and look, I know enough to know what I don't know. I know that Gary Sinise knows how to get the money to the veterans effectively, far more effectively than our government will do it. I know that there's not any system of, some of these charities out there, you think you're giving money to the vets, and most of it's going to some dickhead who's got a corporate gig that he's getting paid, a third of the donations. And I just don't like shit like that. And I don't think anybody does. It's outrageous what goes on, what we do with these people. So if you cover one of his songs, you can get the royalty. The other share of the royalties will go. Now, I can tell you, I'm going to cover a song and spearhead us doing a project. I'm going to get my friends from ISSA, International Singer-Songwriters Association, involved. And I'm going to see if we can't get some of these people to cover some of these songs. raise some money for the vets, and just do something good. You know, Ace is a good guy, and I don't know what else to do other than to do something. You know, it's just, you know, we all are we don't know each other. Half the people on this page were thousands of miles apart, but over time you realize, you know, these are my friends. These are people I love after a while. And this show will be coming on 3 years, believe it or not, next year, next April, I believe. That's a long time. I'm still not rich. I still don't have a studio like Howard Stern's, but so it goes. You know, to tell you the truth, I'm happy. I'm alive. I'm reasonably healthy, and I got a bunch of great friends. You know, and you know, when people ask me, what is this show about? This show is not about now. This show is about 100 years from now. You know, I don't make any money, but I go out and I find acts that I think are good. That's it. It's simple. It's like Hartley Peavy wanted to make a cheap guitar. My show is what it is. I like to get musicians on. We like to talk music. We like to have a few laughs. We poke some jokes. But that's really all it is. This isn't serious, highbrow entertainment, obviously. You know, I just think that 100 years from now, people are going to look back and they're going to look at your comments and they're going to look at the people I have on the show. And I know then somebody will get it. That's it. You know, I don't have any. Thank you, Susan. That's really kind of you to say that. And I appreciate it. You know, it's really just, it's here to be fun for everybody. You know, I'll tell you guys, when COVID was going on, y'all remember how fucked up it was? And I sure do. I'd come out of the hospital and been through a bunch of stuff back then. And I just didn't know what to do, along with a lot of other people. I didn't have any work, didn't have anywhere to go. My first inkling of this was JR. I called him to go to the studio and got a guitar player and someone else I'd called. And both of them, not JR. JR was always ready to go. In fact, we both went in and did stuff in the studio, masked, but in the studio and separated during that time. But, you know, I was just going out of my mind. My girlfriend was getting tired of me bitching about the music scene sucking and how nobody's working. And she said, what are you going to do with yourself? And I was laying in bed and I just thought about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get up tomorrow morning. I'm going to figure out how to do an online broadcast about rock and roll, about whatever I think is kind of funny and shit that I like. Like, you know, I'll talk about products I like. Give you an example, you know. I like PreSonus products. These are unpaid endorsements. This is stuff that works well, and it works for me all the time. Makes my broadcast a little better. And that's kind of, today I'm going to spend a lot of time actually in my studio. I've now gotten things all assembled to make it better than it has been technology-wise. Of course, we don't have any helper. I don't have a producer at this point, and that's okay too. The show's a little different. I don't have as many new songs and stuff, but you know, this will come. I am, for anybody out there who knows, I am looking for a co-host. I'm looking for a wild woman of Wango. I want somebody who's crazy and fun and nuts. And yeah, I'm definitely blessed with Annie. You know, I have the best girlfriend I've ever had. And, you know, that's not an offense to any of the girlfriends I've had. It's just things don't work out for whatever reason. You know, I hopefully and truly have remained friends with most of my exes. And I like it that way. It's better. There's no need for rancor if things don't work out. As Frank Zappa said, broken hearts are for assholes. If you're going to sit and be miserable, you know, go find somebody else to do it with at least. Everybody needs somebody to make them a little miserable once in a while. I'm really kidding, but you know what I mean. So what else we've been talking about? I'm going back to Dan and your comment. The environmental channel. Yeah, you have some of those. Some of Chad's. Oh, because he's out. This is interesting, people. I'm reading Dan. I'm going to put up his comment here. He's talking about Chad Quist, who evidently worked for Muzak when they were out in Seattle, and they would do these environmental channel stuff. You know, it's funny, Dan. Some of that shit's pretty cool, actually. It kind of, I don't know. Whenever I think of the old Trade Center going up to the top floor to the restaurant, I'm thinking of the Music for Airports. by Brian Eno. Just seems to fit in my mind's soundtrack, thinking about that. "53 years." That's excellent. We all have exes. None of mine live in Texas yet, but there's always time. Oh gosh, it's one thing I have to say. My girlfriend has to have a pretty hearty sense of humor and the absurd to be even around me for longer than an hour. So I am lucky I have somebody who can put up with me for that long. Life is good. And I hope, you guys' life's good out there. Really, we got about 15 more minutes. I'm just going to run and chat for the whole hour. I'm looking at the clock. Tell me, Toby, when is our bud getting on the plane? Is it tomorrow or today? Let's see. Well, I'm looking at the time right now. It is 12:42 a.m. in Sydney. So if he's flying back there, I'm pretty sure he's flying back today. And I know a lot of these you know, all right, here we are. I'm back. That was weird. That was very strange. What happened? Can you see me? I love this story. Chet Harley, I love it. This is great. Yeah, folks, Chad Quist's a really great guitar player. He's also a friend of another guitar player from out there. Hold on. Okay, so there we go. I'm back. Yeah, that's really cool, Dan. That that whole bit, we used to have all of our antennas up on the World Trade Center, and prior to that in New York, also in the Empire State Building, and that's where there was this incredible old turntable that had played these big red, I think they were 78 speeds, if I'm not mistaken. They weighed like incredible, and the durability of the record was so robust. The plastic was not really like anything I'd ever seen in commercial. It looked more like a master pressing, uh, but it's pretty neat. So that's it. It's like 10:44. We're sitting here. My broadcast, I just disappeared. So I see there's three of you guys hanging, and I appreciate you coming by and stop and chat for a little bit. Hell, I'll be back Friday. I will probably be up tomorrow to go ahead and let you know who's coming on and stuff. We will have a bunch talking about Ace Arlo. I'm going to go and look through my archive, cut some clips of his previous visits, and we always had a lot of fun with him. That's the most important, getting back to what the show's about. It's just about a lot of things, about hanging out, talking funny stuff, talking music. That's interesting, Dan. I'd like to talk to you sometime. We'll just sit and chat. I'd be curious, just having a conversation about the whole Muzak thing in the World Trade Center. It fascinates me. Like many people who were here, and I wasn't here for 9/11. I was here shortly after and was not happy. You'll never forget it, and you'll never forget the smell. And you don't want to smell the wrong things because you'll instantly flash back. It was horrible. I live in the Jersey Shore, for most of you who know that, and they were ferrying people. Our town has a ferry in it, and so a lot of my friends were there in New York getting on the ferry. Or I have so many people who told me different stories of hitchhiking out to Long Island, getting on trains and just getting over the river, and then having to have people in Jersey. But here in our town, they had decontamination centers. It was bloody awful, you know. I mean, it's. I'm sure. Did Eugene work in the tower, Susan? I know I have several friends who did. And in fact, my county, I live in Monmouth, we lost more people than anywhere except Long Island and New York. We have a lot, almost everybody here works in the city. And it's just so tragic. Gosh, I just hope the people who run things keep us from having shit like that go on. You know, it's always astounding after it happens. But, you know, these people are paid tremendous amounts of money to get it right. And I don't have that much faith. All it takes is one screw up by an enemy. Wow, this is an interesting story on its own. Dan, I want to have you on and talk about this. I don't know. I'm just kind of a music nerd, but I think that as far as music history, Muzak is a huge part of it. I was once at a meeting where when Spotify and all these other companies were coming out, all of the independent Muzak franchisees in America who were paying bills for almost 100 years. Wow. Look at this. Here we have a story. I did not know that, Susan. Wow. You know, you hear those stories. You know, I'll tell you my story while we're here. Maybe we'll do a 9/11 story and try and see what people think about that horrible day or where they were. My good friend and accountant and aide de camp, Paul Neumann, accountant to the stars, including my rather paltry contribution to his income. He was sitting in his apartment looking at it, and it hit the first one. Bam. Just unbelievable. The slogan, we aren't done yet. Wow, Dan, you know what? I want to see what I can do to help you find these tapes. That's such a cool project. I just want to hear them myself. And I'm sure that's something that my audience would get into hearing about. I know a lot of us screw up and we just hated music, hated the sound of it, that la la la. I could never hear him play a song like Hurt in that old music style of Al Hurt. I will make you mad. Or no, I will keep you. I will keep you down. I will keep you down. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, dark, horrendous lyrics with night cheery melodies. It's a really satanic almost thing to do to people. Those are important choices. WTC Music Community. Is this group on Facebook? It's very interesting to me. I really thank you for coming on and talking today, Dan. That's pretty cool. Huh. The World Trade Center Music Community. It's, you know, it's always interesting to me what people find interesting out there. Just look at it. If any of you guys out there, let's see what happens. Oh God, I know right where he was. I've been in that building many, many times. It's horrible. Susan, has he gone back and gone up in the new one? You know, when people I know talk about this, the one thing I know is driving down, walking down to the wall where it was down heading towards the trade center. They had it blocked off. And I can understand that, Susan. I really can. I don't blame him. I was curious, you know, it would be very difficult, I think, to go back and have to relive that. I know the worst thing was the smell, and it persisted for a long time, a long, long time. Very, very horrible reminder. And, you know, Yeah, they're appearing, Dan, on all the other ones. You're just not seeing them. I'm putting them up here manually as we go down and people talk. So sorry about the confusion there. Yeah, it's true. I feel a certain unease at the Trade Center sign. I really do. The whole area. Um, a little park down there. I guess it's Zuccotti, where all the hippies were staying. All of my prototypes. You young dirtbags, get your own trends, make up your own gig. Those of us who are real hippies, take issue with you begging for food and money when you got a trust fund at home. At any rate, I digress. Yeah, I know. It was horrible. Yeah, you aren't that far for sure, sis. No doubt about it. Well, there are things people have changed. I will tell you, people talk about New Yorkers, but we when we get punched, when we get up and we keep walking and we do what we got to do for our people and the people we don't know and the people who live next door, and nobody gives a shit about what color they are, where they came from. Believe me, all that stuff never even fucking filtered into it during 9/11. Yeah, every year when I watch the memorial, you think it's going to go away, but it still just sits in your heart. And I mean, I can't imagine for the family members of all this mess. It's just the terrible thing. And that's going on around the world. I will tell you, be careful who you support politically, because we are in a mess. And I'm going to tell you something: wars don't. We are on the edge of some real shit breaking loose with the Soviet Union. We got the Chinese, we got the North Koreans. There is craziness afoot. And, picking a war with nuclear weapons in countries that have them, we just don't know what kind of shit can unleash. And I don't really want to find out. But if you look at historically, you'll find, look at how long we were in Afghanistan. Look at this war. They thought it'd be over. Like, Russia's going to roll over Ukraine in a week. Things keep getting incrementally worse, incrementally worse. Well, increments. If the Ukrainians humiliate Putin and he starts popping nukes off, people, all bets are off. Go get your loved ones, sit them down, and tell them how much you love them. But well, I hope not, Dan. I really do. I hope you're right, man. Um, those are such horrible days, Susan. Your husband should know that he's a good man in his heart. He helped save lives. It's the best thing any of us can do in this world, is save somebody's life if you have the chance. And you'll never know when it'll happen where you might have the opportunity to do that. It's happened to me a couple times. So let's see, Pitney Bowes. Oh yeah, it sounds typical. Corporate stuff and run. It happens. I know what you mean. I've been through those. I've been through a couple of corporate takeovers, and boy, they suck. You're all hooked up and connected to people in the company, and you think everything's going to be all right. And then it's like, no, it ain't all right. It's a long way from all right. Everybody who knew anything couldn't tell you, and we're all being fired. It's brutal. Yeah, Dan. And if you think about it, people, we had COVID, which certainly is a nice dose of existential dread, and then you have this war starts. I don't know. That's sad. Susan, I'm just answering. You know, I know what that's like. It happens, and that day was so bloody terrifying to people that I really think there's just a certain amount of, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe, I know this. They're probably very grateful in their heart and they feel appreciative. But you just nailed it on the head, Susan. You never know how long we all have, and you should be kind to people. And remember, live every life. Think about it when you get up in the morning. This might be the last day of your life. Think about it. Do something. Don't just sit around. Don't bitch about the politics. Go out and do something. Help people. Do whatever you have to do. But don't be a grump who bitches and doesn't help be part of the solution, because those people are the worst. I can't stand folks who just sit and moan constantly about how awful they have it, and they don't come up with any practical solution. They can't even get the engagement going to make things better. You know, we have the most, if you think about it, in America, our poor, I'm just going to make a comment, have air conditioning. The poorest of poor in America have a computer in the home, color TVs. Almost everybody is clothed. Now, I know that there's huge pockets of poverty. Don't get on my ass about it. I've been through them. I've driven through them. I've played in these cities. I know what's going on. There's a lot of have-nots. There's also a lot of have-nots and have never going to get anything if they don't get their shit together. All right. Your birthday is 8/25, huh, Sue? So how many spanks are you going to get on the Neve show? You never ask a woman how old they are. So I just ask them how many spankings they'd like. Spanky, spanky. Yeah. So now this is an interesting guy. Oh, man. Between Susan's ass and Dan's thing. Dan, you are by far an interesting caller. One of the most interesting I've just had out of the blue, because we're getting into this music conversation. I don't know how interesting the audience feels about it, but I guess in 100 years we'll find out. They'll be going, but what is music? Muzak. For those of you who don't know, Muzak is a combination of two of General Squire's favorite things. The company Kodak, and his other favorite thing was music. General Squire also invented a long-range broadcast system using a wire from the top of a tall tree staked into the ground for long-range frequency reception, which you need a long antenna because the waves are so long in comparison to FM or other waves, which are small and squiggly, as opposed to long and wandering. Okay. Well, you're doing fine, Susan. You got another 50 in you, so you're looking great and life is good. Isn't it though, Dan? It's always nice to be interesting sometimes. You know, I'm fascinated the fact that you were fascinated, and some people out there, aside from nerds like myself who worked at the company and took pride. I really will tell you, when I worked for the company, I felt like I had the best job in the world, you know, and it changed my life, you know, financially in a big way, and opened my mind up to different, you know, possibilities. And I can't thank, you know, Dino enough. It's funny because when I was in the hospital, I saw him. He was here in New Jersey. When he first walked by my room when I was in treatment, I thought that perhaps I was hallucinating, but it was him. And I was, Dino? He looked at me. He was like, Neve? Neil? What the fuck? I didn't look so good back then, but I look great now, don't I? Yeah, ready for the world. So it's been cool talking to everybody. Man, it's 11 o'clock, and I enjoyed everybody coming by and saying hello. And, you know, we're going to be out of here. But I'll see you Friday, and it's going to be we're going to have a good time. So see you next week, everybody. I'll see you on Friday, I should say, this week.
5